It's tourney time. The Cougars are back in the NCAA tournament.
We're good enough to win some games in this tournament. Our responsibility is to put ourselves in the best position to win.
The team determined for more postseason success this time around.
And I talked with senior leader Galen Robinson about what's next for the Cougars.
Everything is magnified. It's a different kind of intensity, a different kind of grind, a different kind of focus. Everything is up the level.
Plenty of other area teams are dancing too.
Making big moves in free agency? Not the Texans. Former NFL quarterback Jerrod Johnson joins me on if the Texans are making the right moves. Everybody get up! Sports Sunday starts now.
Live from KPRC Channel 2, this is Sports Sunday.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sports Sunday. As you saw, busy show tonight. Randy, Wex, and Laney with you, starting, of course, with Selection Sunday. What else would we be starting with tonight, huh?
Nothing else. We have so much of it to cover.
Yeah, the Cougs just got back in town. They were very tired after a long weekend in Memphis, but they're excited and looking forward to where they're headed.
It all gets going later this week. Let's get right to it. The obvious big story. Yes, the NCAA tournament field has been unveiled. U of H nabbing the 3 seed in the Midwest region. Many had projected them to land there anyway. They'll play Friday night in Tulsa against 14th seeded Georgia State. Kelvin Sampson's guys went 31-3 to this point of the year. 7 wins over teams who made the field of 68. The Cougs have been dancing before. They're ready to make some noise and make a deep tournament run. Here's Kelvin Sampson.
Proud of our whole team, everybody. You know, we're not a one-man band. Our strength is in our numbers. From 13 to 19 to a 3 seed's a great story. It really is.
Just putting in perspective that what we're playing for is a lot more bigger than the conference championship. I mean, I know everyone's still emotional about the loss, and they're going to take it pretty hard. But I mean, we have a lot to play for still. So we got to find a way to just put this behind us and just move forward and get ready for Friday.
All right, they will get a lot of rest. Laney, you were just up at U of H, as you mentioned, when the Cougars arrived home. What was the mood like? Talk a little bit about that. And how are they feeling right now about Georgia State? Do they know much about them at this point?
Well, the mood, I think, is they're all ready to go home, go to sleep, because they're completely exhausted after playing 3 back-to-back games. But they obviously don't know much about Georgia State yet. It's going to be much different than conference play when they know everything about all those teams they're going up against. But the Panthers went 24-9 this season. They won the Sun Belt Conference tournament. They did beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa back in December, and also beat Georgia on a neutral floor. So Georgia State can shoot the 3. Coach Sampson mentioned that. They have 4 guys knocking down better than 40% from beyond the arc.
You play 18 games and against 12 schools, and we know them all. But, you know, now everything's new. They've got a really good team. They pose a matchup problem for us because they don't play a true center. They got 5 3-point shooters, and that's why they're a really good team. You know, they've beaten Georgia, they beat Alabama.
All right, Coach Sampson has to say all the right things right now. He's been doing this a little while. He knows as a head coach what he needs to say. But you know what? Everybody going into this tournament is on some kind of winning streak. They're on a roll right now, playing pretty good basketball.
That's how you get there. And it's interesting to hear Sampson talk about them almost like they're the Rockets. They shoot a bunch of 3s. They don't have a center. They're going small ball. But that's essentially what they do. And that is a difficult team to upend because if they get hot, even with great defense, which the Cougars will have, it can still happen.
Yep, and we'll have more on the Cougars actually later in the show. I've got a one-on-one with senior guard Galen Robinson. You don't want to miss that, so it's coming up later.
All right, good stuff. Hey, and Wex and I will have an in-depth breakdown, we think, of the Midwest region. How far the Cougars will go, who are the teams to watch out for, plus who will be the final 4 teams when all the dust settles, who's going to win it all. We're breaking out the smart board coming up in about 15 minutes.
Well, here's how things went today on a day where the Cougars didn't have their best day in the conference tourney final. They beat Cincinnati just last Sunday in their building and did it soundly, but they never led today.
Yeah, Corey Davis Jr. said it's the worst game he has played by far. They couldn't stop Cincinnati superstar Jerron Cumberland. Cougars lose by 12, and they enter the tournament, as we mentioned, with a 31-3 record. All right, the 1 seeds. When you break down this new bracket now, Duke, Virginia, North Carolina and Gonzaga. The Bulldogs have to wait on their first-round opponent because it involves Prairie View, right, guys?
It sure does, because it could very well be Prairie View, because the Panthers are back in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1998. We were there as they saw their name unveiled, one of the 216s in that first four. So they'll head to Dayton to play on Tuesday in the first four against Fairleigh Dickinson. They won the Northeast Conference, but the Panthers have won 11 straight, like you said, teams on a roll, and 21 of their last 22. They're not fazed by their 16 seed.
The beauty of the tournament is you against that particular team for 40 minutes, and records don't matter, conference affiliations don't matter. It's 40 minutes in a neutral site, and it's anyone's ball game. So that's going to be our attitude no matter who we face, going in with a lot of confidence and just hoping for the best.
We just want to show the nation how hard we play and how much we play together, and how much of a unit we are, and how we can collectively come together and win ball games.
Yeah, so here's some of the other regional squads who made the field of 68. Thursday night, LSU and a couple Texas teams in action, both Baylor and Abilene Christian making the dance. Then on Friday, Texas Tech and OU both take the floor. Neither UT nor TCU earned at-large bids. Second time in 3 seasons, the Horns have missed the tourney. And UT reportedly not yet ready to move on from head coach Shaka Smart, though.
I guess I'm a little surprised that people have to be getting a little restless about what's happening in Austin right now. He better recruit well in this offseason and find a way maybe get a couple transfers in. There's no reason why Texas shouldn't be in the tournament.
Well, granted, people should be worried, and Texas has tons of money, but they're not going to eat all of it because his buyout is massive and guaranteed through 2023. They're not ready to let him go, mainly because of that reason. This is a total disappointment season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the brackets for the women's tournament will be unveiled tomorrow. And for the first time since 2005, the Rice Owls will be in the field. Tina Langley's squad needed a comeback yesterday to win the Conference USA tournament. Their record-setting season has them at 28-3 on a 21-game winning streak heading into the tournament. That's crazy. So a lot of emotions from the Owls.
Just to come in and do it with my teammates, for this coach, she's so selfless, and like she gives and gives and gives to us. And so for us to finally just give this to her, it just means the world.
Love you.
Softy.
This game was no different than the last game, other than that we could cut a net down. And we've done that, and now they'll be the next biggest game of the year, and we'll prepare the same way we have for all the others.
They'll find out again on Monday who that is. The Rockets tonight ended their 4-game homestand. There's James Harden getting well from that cervical strain. And all it took tonight was a dominant third quarter against the Timberwolves. Eric Gordon hitting the 3. Then Chris Paul. I guess the rest against Phoenix was good. He had 4 of the Rockets' 10 3-pointers in the third quarter. They blew the game open. He finished with 25 points, 10 assists. Daniel House added 12 off the bench. 15-point win for the Rockets. They're at Atlanta and Memphis on Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, so here's what the updated Western Conference looks like. Rockets a game and a half up on Portland for the 3 spot. They're still 3 games back of Denver for the 2 seed with just 12 games left to play. Rockets will host the Nuggets a week from Thursday.
So did the Texans then open it up? As that pass is picked off, it's to Sean Gibson, and he's got some room to run. To Sean Gibson at midfield. He's got a blocker in front. Watson is able to bring Gibson down.
Well, that's something the Texans are hoping for more of now that they've signed a former Jag safety, Tashawn Gibson, with more of Houston's week of free agency. Was it good? Was it subpar? Here's Wex again with a special guest here tonight.
Time to talk Texans and NFL free agency here on Sports Sunday. Joining us to do that, Jerrod Johnson, former Texas A&M quarterback and NFL quarterback. I say talk free agency and the Texans, and it kind of goes together. They weren't super busy, but they did make a couple of moves. I want to ask you, though, about what they didn't do. No offensive lineman a week into free agency. Is that a huge mistake?
I'm not necessarily. You know, I think it's way too early to tell where they are with everything. You know, with now Brian Gaines here, been with Bill O'Brien, I think it's more so about finding the right fit than anything else. So I do think they pursued some guys, you know, but they have their metric on how they evaluate players, and you know, if they didn't see a guy who fit where they saw him as a dollar amount and didn't want to overspend, you know, I think they made the right decision. So I mean, of course, time will tell, but as of right now, you know, I think they really have their process and their system, and they didn't see guys out there that they felt was worth spending the money on that fit what they need at the position.
Yeah, I think one thing is for sure, they do have a plan, and it's kind of the same plan when it was O'Brien and Smith, and now it's O'Brien and Gain. Do you think it's this the right plan, the way they evaluate things and kind of attack the offseason from a personnel standpoint?
I think so. I think the teams that are having success in the league are the ones who can always find value. You know, there's the business side of thing and there's the player side of thing, and that's the business. You're trying to get maximum output, you know, with the best at the best value you can, and try not to overspend. So when there is that guy who we dock as the perfect fit, there's enough money, there's enough cap availability, there's enough room to actually go and make that big push.
One of the guys they did bring in, safety Tashawn Gibson, should be familiar to Texans fans. A couple years with the Jaguars, should be familiar to Deshaun Watson. First career interception went to Gibson back at NRG Stadium. What do you think of him coming in, clearly with Matthew going out?
I think I see the reoccurring theme of value. You know, he's a good player, he's a solid player, he's a proven player, you know, and so of course you'd love to have Tyrann Mathieu back and the things he brought to the table. But if you didn't want to spend what, you know, he got on the open market, if you could find somebody to, even if he does just 80% of what Tyrann does, you know, you can find a way to where it works for your team, because it ultimately is about winning football games and you're trying to find value, and, you know, I think they did that.
Completely revamping the secondary as well, especially at cornerback. Bradley Roby comes in on a Matthew-like prove-it deal.
Yeah, and I think like you see a reoccurring theme about prove-it deals, and I don't think the Texans are stingy. I think they will spend money, but it has to be someone that organizationally feel that money is worth it, you know. And so Roby's a proven player. He's coming off an injury, but nowadays with modern science, whatever, I think he'll be fine. I honestly think he's a steal.
Yeah, he said himself he wasn't real happy with how he played last year in Denver as a starter. Had been one of their top 3 the previous years, but moved into that role. Do you think he's a guy that can step forward? Because they don't just need to replace their previous guys, they need to get better.
I really think he can, because, you know, from everything I've heard from my sources and whatnot, you know, there was a little bit of disconnect with the new coaching staff or whatever, and a lot of times system fit with the player, and veteran players are really talented, and sometimes they just don't gel well. And so I think he's going to be excited about a new opportunity to get out of that building, to get somewhere new, start fresh, and kind of maximize his playing career. And I think he's excited to be here, and I think it's a good fit.
You think they're okay with what's happened? Matthew Jackson out, Roby Gibson in, and Calhoun from the Browns?
You know, there's a famous quote from Mike Tyson: everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, you know. And so who knows what their original best case plan was, but the NFL is about, you know, making adjustments and handling adversity. And so however it plays out, your reality is your reality. I think they need offensive line depth, and I think they need offensive line depth. They need offensive line talent. If Deshaun Watson is going to be your franchise quarterback, you have to protect them.
And lastly, while you're here being a quarterback, the quarterbacks inside this division, a little bit of change last year to this year. Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck come back. Nick Foles is now in Jacksonville. Ryan Tannehill joins Mariota in Tennessee. Anything shuffle the deck with how that hierarchy falls?
Man, I just think the division's getting better. You have more experience. I think the world of Nick Foles, I think having that veteran leadership who's won a Super Bowl to add to that defense is going to be huge. Andrew Luck coming off of year 2 after his comeback season. Mariota having 2 quarterbacks in Nashville. You know, the biggest thing that's hindered the Titans, I think, has been Mariota's gotten hurt so many times. They went out and got essentially a 1A in Ryan Tannehill, to where if their backup, if Mariota goes down, that's a guy that can come in who has NFL experience, who could potentially still take them to the playoffs. So the bar has definitely been raised, but at the same time, I like our guy.
Jerrod Johnson, former NFL and Texas A&M quarterback. Really appreciate your time coming in here and sharing your thoughts on the Texans and the offseason.
Always good.
All right, great stuff from Jerrod. Hey, still to come on Sports Sunday. The Astros going green today for St. Patrick's Day. Good news for their on-the-mend infield. Highlights from Florida straight ahead.
Plus, coming up, I go one-on-one with U of H's floor general and hometown hero, Galen Robinson Jr. His thoughts on Georgia State and the NCAA tournament are on the way.
Plus, we are breaking down the bracket. Just how far will the Cougars go, and who we see make it to Minneapolis? Those answers straight ahead.
All right, welcome back to Sports Sunday. Before we get to the Cougars and the NCAA tournament with more reaction from that, let's take a quick look at what else is making headlines over the weekend and today. Final round of the Players' Championship over at Ponte Vedra, Florida. Fans in the St. Patrick's Day spirit today all over the course. What a finish for 48-year-old Jim Furyk. Big weekend, birdied 18, had a 67, led this thing at 15 under until Rory McIlroy caught a little fire down the stretch. Played catch up with 2 late birdies, closed it out on 18, wins the Players' Championship in his 10th try in this prestigious tournament. All right, on the gridiron, how about this? The odyssey of Johnny Football continues. Former Aggie star Johnny Manziel, just booted from the Canadian Football League, is joining the Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football. How about that? This is the third different pro league for Manziel since leaving the NFL. We'll see if this pans out over in Memphis. Hey, speaking of former Aggies, that's what Billy Kennedy is now after Texas A&M let him go following a 14-18 campaign. Early exit in the SEC tournament. Kennedy just led the Aggies to the Sweet 16 a season ago, but missed the tournament 6 times in 8 seasons in College Station. Virginia Tech's Buzz Williams, reportedly A&M's top target to take over as head coach.
The big thing is just have fun with this. You know, it's our seniors' last ride. We're good enough to win some games in this tournament, and our responsibility is to put ourselves in the best position to win.
That was Cougs head coach Kelvin Sampson earlier tonight. Now all season long, the seniors on this team have been motivated by last year's heartbreaking loss in the NCAA tournament. That includes senior point guard Galen Robinson Jr., who I had the chance to go one-on-one with tonight. It's obviously not the outcome you guys wanted today, but you've known all along the NCAA tournament is the priority. How do you feel about the state of the team right now?
Definitely feel not satisfied, but I'm kind of, relieved that we were able to accomplish 2 of our goals that we set before the season, which is win conference and get to NCAA tournament. Although the conference tournament didn't go how we anticipated, we lived to see another day, and it's not many times you get to lose in March and still play another game. We got a veteran group of guys who usually are good under pressure, and that helps us. But the NCAA tournament, it's a different beast, and we got to be ready.
Speaking of those veteran guys, how much does that help that you guys were on the big stage of the tournament last season, and you guys as leaders can kind of pull from that and know what to expect a little bit?
Oh, definitely. We definitely know what to expect, and the new guys, they're going to figure it out real quickly. Everything is magnified. It's a different kind of intensity, a different kind of grind, a different kind of focus. Everything is up the level, and you can't take anybody lightly. Georgia State, I've seen them play a couple times here. They're a good team. They're a good three-point shooting team, and they play 5 out. So, we got our hands full, but I'm sure our coaches will have a great game plan.
So defense is the cornerstone of this team, but you kind of saw what can happen today if you guys don't have a great game offensively. How big will it be just to be firing on all cylinders?
Definitely imperative, but like Coach always says, sometimes through your darkest moments come your brightest light. You know what I mean? And I think that everything happens for a reason, and maybe this is, the lesson that we needed before the big dance.
This is the highest the program has been seeded since the 1983 and 84 team. Obviously, they're legendary. Do you realize what kind of history you're making yet?
It probably won't hit me until I leave here. You know what I mean? But to be associated with that 83-84 team in any way, shape, or form, that's definitely tremendous. Hopefully, we can get how far they got, maybe even further. But for now, my main focus, as well as all of our main focus, is Georgia State.
My thanks to Galen for taking the time to talk with me after a long weekend, long flight, and bus ride. So Randy Wex, I know while I was catching up with the Cougs, you guys were buried in the brackets, seeing what it'll take for U of H to make a run. What do you got?
All right, thanks a lot, lady. Time to break it down in the Midwest and our Final Four picks as well. We brought out the smart board. Let's get to it. This could be a lot of fun here.
Perfect time to bring out the smart board, our new toy here. We do have the Midwest region for a reason. That's where the University of Houston Cougars are. You see them, the number 3 seed. Took these picks and put them in already. Really only one minor upset for me with Seton Hall winning. So let's get to the rest of the selections. UNC, a super duper strong number 1 seed in my mind. Easily take care of Utah State. Auburn, great tourney run in the SEC. And it continues. So the season for Quentin Grimes will come to a conclusion there with Kansas. Really good matchup here, Big 12, and obviously the American regular season champs with the Cougars. And I think the Cougars are going to be able to take care of them. So that puts the Cougars in the Sweet 16, and that's where they're going to see Kentucky. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the tournament. And I'll pick that one after I pick UNC to take care of Auburn. Bruce Pearl, great postseason coach. Well, Roy Williams' group is going to get him. Houston, my upset special for the tournament. They're going to the Elite Eight. They're beating Kentucky to get there, and it sets up a 1 versus 3. Really nice matchup there. But the road is going to end for the Cougars here. UNC going to win. They're headed to the Final Four. It seems like they're always there. Let's see what you got.
All right, similar picks. Keep an eye on New Mexico State. They could give Auburn fits in this opening round, but I'm going to go with Auburn. UNC, I love what this team's all about, what they're playing and how they're playing right now. Auburn, Kansas, I can't figure out Kansas in the Big 12, so I'm going to go with Auburn, fresh off that tournament title in the SEC. Iowa State, U of H. U of H better play some great defense, which they've done all season long. They're going to need it, but I think U of H will win and advance. Wofford, I've got them beating Seton Hall against Kentucky. Kentucky's going to take care of business right here, I have a feeling here. And they will advance as well. So here we go. I'm going to go with North Carolina again. Auburn, your run's going to be over. U of H, Kentucky, Cougar fans, I love you. Kelvin Sampson, I love your basketball team. Kentucky's pretty tough, though. I'm going to go with Kentucky right here to advance, and North Carolina will knock off Kentucky at that point. So pull up the Final Four now if we can and
see what you got.
That's what we got. I got the number 2 seeded Tennessee Volunteers going to the Final Four against UNC. I'll take UNC right here, and then Duke and Gonzaga. I'm going with Duke. And it's going to be an all ACC here.
Same teams again.
UNC right there, national champs.
Well, when we take a look at my Final Four, it's not going to look too dissimilar, nor will the final game. But I do have Texas Tech here. How about that?
Good pick.
Red Raiders making it to the Final Four, but that's it for them. The Duke-Texas Tech matchup is going to see Duke advancing to the title game. Same matchup that Randy had, Duke and UNC. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Zion Williamson's group to bring home the title. Let's see what happens.
It's going to be fun. Tournament starts Thursday. We can't wait for that.
Let's go.
All right, still ahead on Sports Sunday. A quick stop in Florida. Why Astros fans should be happy about today, even if A.J. Hinch was absent. We'll explain coming up next.
All right, a busy week. Thursday, I'm
Yes.
heading to Tulsa with the Cougars, so we're looking forward to hopefully 2 wins in Tulsa.
Bring them luck.
Yeah, Texas Southern also going to the postseason. They're in the CIT tournament, and the Rice women find out tomorrow will they'll be playing in the NCAA tournament.
Get those brackets ready. We'll start working on ours, and hopefully we won't tear them up this time next week.
Just fill out another one.
Hey, thanks for watching. We'll do it again next Sunday right here on Sports Sunday. Have a great week.